Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, #1 Amazon bestseller, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway with Gifted Travel Network. And on this episode, we are changing things up now that we are in a new year. And we do not have an advisor or a member of GTN Network. We actually have Managing Director of Host Agency Reviews, Shayna Zand, so that we can talk a little bit about hosting, and have just incredibly important conversation, whether you are brand new to the business or you've been selling travel for 20, 30 years. It's a very, very important conversation. So welcome to the show, Sheena. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. What a great way to start the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the first question because I really want people who are listening to understand what important work Host Agency Reviews does. So the first question that I have for you is, what problem or industry gaps was Host Agency Reviews created to solve for advisors?
Oh, I love this question. For us, when we started about 12 years ago, advisors really had no centralized place to understand what the host agency model was, who are the host agencies out there before getting into signing contracts and jumping aboard. So, what we really talk about is, what's a host? How does it fit into my business? Why are they important? And what are the differences between them, right? To understand what's out there and who can best support your business as a travel agency or travel advisor. We really found that decisions were being made based on, kind of Facebook chatter or
Yeah.
recruiter pitches or that commission hype. And not to
Mhm.
say that I think Facebook chatter is wonderful, you talking with your community, but you didn't have kind of that one centralized location to get unbiased information. And we really found too that there was a huge transparency gap around
Yes.
fees, around support, around tech, around culture, around expectations. I'm just listing all the important words. And for
Yeah.
me, biggest one was community, right? The
Mm.
community that a host really brings together. So we built HAR, as we call it, or host agency reviews. We love a good short form in the travel. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. um, to give advisors really real data, real reviews, real context, and ultimately to help them make smarter long-term business decisions and not rushed ones, but all in one place to kind of help compare and contrast. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's such important work. My role at GTN is I oversee membership development. And so you can imagine we are fielding interviews with both new to the industry prospects, but also experienced advisor prospects on a daily basis. We're doing these interviews, and it never, ever fails to shock me at what some people are willing to given the competitive landscape of the host agencies, at least in the US.
Mhm.
Um i i just am flabbergasted by some of the commission splits that people, or just the maybe not great culture, or um I think one of the biggest mistakes I see people make um is looking at their host as their employer.
Yes. Yes. Preach. Yes.
Yes. They look at that relationship as their employer, and I think that's because, people don't realize when you become a travel advisor, you are an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And, I think a lot of us, myself included, when you leave a career, you most likely are leaving something where you were an employee, and now you're doing this, and you bring your employee mindset with you, and so I think that's one of the reasons why. But, I'm just always shocked at, like, the kind of things that people think they're supposed to be doing because, they think it's in their contract, which it probably isn't in their contract, but, just, settling for really low commission splits, or not being able to develop their own brand, or feeling like they can't leave because they have a contract. But so I just love that you guys are there. I I mean, I was a travel advisor for 10 years before I got into this side of the business.
Mhm.
And I do remember, there were probably half as many host agencies back then, but I do remember, trying to find some kind of central place to understand the landscape of hosts. And you guys have done that incredibly well. So I commend you guys on that.
Oh, stop it, but say more things like that. Thank
So
you.
let's talk about some misconceptions about host agencies. What, is there a difference between, those misconceptions when PAR first started versus those that persist today? Or is there a lot of commonality, and what are they?
So, I think when we first started was really kind of the upbringing of the host model, and so it was
Yeah.
more about understanding what it was and how it supports your business. Today, we definitely have some very common misconceptions. You just dove right into one that I think is such a big one, which is the
Yeah.
hosts are there to help support the business you're building. They're not there to build your business for you, hence the employee versus independent, right? They're there with the tools to support, they're there with training, they're there with so many other things, but they are not your employer, right? They are the
Yeah.
system for you. So you are not an employee, which benefits both sides as well, right? Like you get to run your own business as a travel advisor, and then you have this incredible host and this incredible community to support you in building your business instead of doing it on your own. So I think that is one common misconception. Um, I think that you mentioned it when we go into commission splits, where the only thing someone is looking at is higher commission split equals better host, right?
Yes.
So, a lot of commission splits, I think it's an important thing to look at. I do not believe that is the only thing you should be looking at, but this commission if they give me a better commission split, then they're a better host, right? This typically seems to be the first, second, and third level of importance for advisors versus this being a part of what is considered, along with every other service that a host provides you that you wanna make sure aligns with your travel agency or business. Another one we find is that some people come to us thinking that hosts are interchangeable, right?
Mm.
When in reality, fit really matters more than
Yes.
anything else, right? Gifted specializes in something, other hosts specialize in other things. Some hosts are larger, some give you more autonomy, some handhold a bit more, some have very focused niches, right? So you wanna find one that is the best fit for you and your business, and the host
Absolutely.
wants to do that as well. There's a reason you talk to your hosts, you
Yeah.
have phone calls, you submit questions, and so that's important that hosts the model, while similar, one hosts are not one and the same. So that is super important to remember. An early misconception that we find is that a lot of advisors think that hosts are meant for only new advisors, right? New advisors entering the
Oh,
space,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's who hosts are built for. And we really understand that experienced advisors or even advisors that have been independent for many years, built their business, join hosts later on, right? And understand the value of it. I mean, if I look at Gifted alone
Yeah.
and the experience you have with your advisors, I just traveled with one of your advisors. She booked a whole trip and I was a part of it. Um, and just her experience alone and how long she's been with Gifted. And sorry, sorry to point her out. She knows who she is. She better be listening.
Yes.
She would never, she's one of your top advisors, one of your top earners, and she wouldn't leave in a heartbeat. That doesn't even or change up her model that doesn't even compute for her because of everything that a host and that gifted offers her. So it's, it's not just for new advisors. It's a great entryway for new advisors, but it is absolutely built for
Yeah.
those that have been in the industry for a while. And I would also kind of throw this in, and only because this is super important to me, is I find it still common that advisors underestimate the value of community mentorship and support with your infrastructure of your business, but specifically the community and mentorship part of it. My mentors are the reason I am where I am today. The community, the travel community, I've been in it for 15 years. It is my favorite community. I have learned so much from them. And when I'm having difficult times, they are my support system. So you have a built-in community with a host, and I think that value is underestimated or forgotten about. Not as much a misconception, but forgotten about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such an important, step in the process, and it's a decision that you can change later. I think that I changed hosts many times when I was selling travel, and it doesn't mean that that first decision was the wrong decision. You can just grow out of a good fit. And so it's something that should be on your radar no matter where you are on the journey. But I love that you talked about um, a bunch of these things. I want to come back to the commission splits. So I completely agree with you that it shouldn't be only about the commission split. But at the same time, I also want people to realize that don't settle for a 50-50 commission split. There are thousands of hosts out there.
Absolutely agreed. I think it I think for me, it's part of the picture. I just don't want it to be the whole picture for somebody, but
Yeah,
I also, when
yeah,
you're looking at commission splits, don't even just look at your entrance commission split. What are the
yeah,
thresholds
yes,
for your
yep,
commissions changing and adjusting, right? What does all
yeah,
of that look like? Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I think it is absolutely an important part of the puzzle, but I feel like it should not be the only thing you're looking at when you're
yes.
choosing a
I
host, but
totally agree.
it should be a priority, but not the only priority. So I totally agree.
And I also like that you identified the misconception that ultimately being independent is the best way to go once you grow the business because, um, like you've already said, it it actually that's just a complete misconception, and in fact, I walk through that math in my book. In it's I think this is such an important decision. It is one of the components of my escape plan, which is what the book is all about. It lays out this escape plan so that you escape falling into the accidental hobbyist trap. And each letter of the word escape um, stands for a step in the system. And so the C in the word escape stands for choose the right home, and it walks you through a process of how do you find and it also goes through the process of should I do a franchise or should I do a host? But the first decision is do I affiliate with someone that already has credentials or do I go independent? And I definitely have run into a lot of people who think independent is the way to go.
Mhm.
But in the long run, if you find a host that is really a good fit for you, being affiliated is the better way to go.
I mean, I absolutely agree. I think we do our annual report every year, and over 85% of advisors are members of a host agency. There's a reason for that.
Yeah,
Right? Have some of them changed hosts as their business has changed or maybe their priorities,
right.
their business goals have? Absolutely, right? And
Yeah.
that's why with your contracts, you get a lawyer to review them, you make sure everybody's comfortable. Also, on a total side note, your book is sitting on my nightstand because
Aw.
it's my next I don't know why, I have business books or what I read before I go to bed, um, but yours is my next one up. So,
Oh,
I'm super
wow.
excited.
Yay.
Yeah. I'm super excited. So this just got me really excited to jump into it. I'm reading Elton John's biography right now, my other book.
Ooh.
So I do that one in the mornings and then yeah.
Yeah.
That
So you go from, like, just feeding your soul to feeding your mind.
Exactly, exactly. Right? In the mornings, I like to wake up, work out, a little bit of a
Yeah.
read, and then, before I go to bed. But yes, yours is next up on my nightstand, so I'm super excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, don't definitely get to my favorite chapter in the book is pretty far into the book, and I even say in that chapter, this is the most important chapter you'll read, which is the P in the escape plan. So it's towards the end. And it stands for prioritize emotional fitness. So definitely read that chapter. Don't fall asleep before you get there.
Oh, yeah, no, don't worry, I'm gonna take my time. I also don't wanna jump ahead. You're making me
Yes. Yes. You don't want to jump ahead either. You don't want to jump ahead either.
I love the
Um,
chapter though. Oof.
yeah. So I want to talk about going to HAR is really, really important for people who are brand new to the industry and just trying to learn. You guys have so much information, not only on the hosts out there, but just about the business in general.
Mhm.
Um, but now, what if you're now a couple years into the business and you're not sure if your host is the right host for you anymore? What are some signs that an advisor may have outgrown their current host relationship?
I think that that's a great question. I think one of the things I think about is that you, as an advisor or a travel agency, that you're consistently building solutions around your host instead of with them. I think that that is something to kind of take in and think about. So you feel like you require more advanced tech. Granted, what I will say is a lot of hosts are really investing heavily in their tech stack, which is very exciting to see that you need different marketing. And the big one is reporting. Data is, I find, so incredibly important to help you drive business decisions and strategy. And so you're finding that you need more advanced tools than what you have available. A big piece too is that you've outpaced the education or mentorship that's being offered. It's always a question I like to ask is, if I'm a new advisor coming in, what educational tools do you have for me? 5 years down the line, what other educational tools are there for me, right? Some hosts are built beautifully for newer advisors. Some are really built for experience, some are a little bit of both. So that could be a determining factor. You may feel disconnected from leadership or the community of your host. So that might trigger a thought of, okay, maybe it's time for me to take a look at what else is out there. And your business goals have likely evolved, but you found that your host hasn't evolved in the same direction. It doesn't mean it's the right or wrong direction. You could have evolved in different directions. Um, I also think that with everything that I've just said, I think it's really important. I'm all about the questions, right?
Mhm.
Ask questions, speak to your hosts. I find a lot of advisors who will then talk to, say, us and say, "Hey, like, I'm really feeling," and a lot of times they won't even give us the name of their host, which is not what we're looking for. They'll just say,
Mhm.
"I
Yeah.
don't feel like this host is a right fit for me. This is what I'm looking for." And the first thing I say to them is, "Have you spoken to your host? Have you asked them about this stuff?" Because sometimes
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
feel like they don't have the education for you. Sometimes you just don't know where it is, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Right? But that's why you have the team at the host agency that you're working with to ask them, right? Or hosts love themselves some suggestions from their advisors of tools that they're using, of suppliers that they're working with that might not be in the preferred network. You know, they the host is there to help support you. And so if they find that, 10, 15 of our advisors are using the supplier consistently, and we don't have an agreement with them to help further that relationship with the rest of our advisors or with those 15 who consistently work with them, right? They don't know, hosts don't know what they don't know. So I'm always like, go speak to them first
Yeah.
before you decide to make a huge change because it is a change and the change could absolutely be right for you. But I always suggest going to speak to your host, ask questions first before you decide to kind of jump ship, if you will, and have that opportunity to have that conversation. Because sometimes it's just you're just missing something. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have that conversation and you're like, yes, absolutely. It's time for me to move on to a different host agency.
Yeah. I think it's important to ask the host agency, what is their mission? Ask someone on the leadership team. And if you feel like that's inconsistent with your experience, then that's also a sign that it might be time. For us at GTN, we're very clear that we're not for everybody. Absolutely not for everybody. The perfect advisor for us is someone who is very business minded,
Mhm.
wants this to be a full time career, wants to be able to, live off of the financial resources they generate through this profession. But we also want people who are collaborative. If you're a lone ranger, we're not a good match for you. And there's nothing wrong with being a lone ranger. There are a lot of very successful people who are lone rangers. But one of our tenets of what we do is building, and I think we're incredibly good at it, is building communities that are engaged and collaborative. And we just believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. And so that's why we create the rising tide.
Love it.
um, but going back to what I was saying is, for example, with us, we when we started in 2013, we didn't focus on luxury. We were much more focused on, we wanted to be a host that offered 100% commission split, partially because I was a travel advisor for 10 years, right? And so we really did build and design a host agency from the perspective of being a travel advisor.
Mhm.
And so I think that's another important question is like, how did the host agency start and what was the original mission and what is the mission today? And our mission has changed. And that is to provide an elevated hosting experience to the luxury travel advisor. If you want to sell luxury, we want to support you. And there are important things that we have to provide to equip you with the ability to sell luxury. And so that also can be a reason why you outgrow your host, is because maybe you, like you said, changed your business goals. Maybe you, when you first started, you just thought you would sell, Disney. And now you're seeing that your clients' desires are changing and they're asking for a lot more luxury. And now you want to transition to luxury. That is a good reason to change hosts if you are with a host that is not really nailing it at supporting luxury. So, um,
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
I could talk about this for hours.
Let's do it. Who doesn't wanna listen to it?
Here's a good question. What questions do you wish more advisors would ask host agencies before joining?
Oh, see, I don't know if any of you listening have submitted questions on host agency reviews. I see them all. Uh, they automatically end up in my inbox, which I always find interesting. What I do love is that I find that I'll see a question and it will be asked by the same person to 3 or 4 different hosts. So, when you are looking around at different hosts, you're not just asking one host, right? You're getting a feel for all of them. But what questions I would love to see people asking, would be looking at, what does success look like for me here in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, right? What do you see from your advisor pool? Like, what have you seen and what is kind of that expectation? Um, so that you can understand from your business, again, if that aligns with your goals or if you say to yourself, "You know what? Those should be my goals."
Mhm.
Um, so I think
Yeah.
that's a great question. Another great one for me is, what type of support do you give advisors once they're no longer new, right?
Mhm.
What other support tools do you have when, I am 2, 3 years into the business? Commissions are coming in consistently, right? Because now you've got that flow happening. Because the first year is always a bit more difficult in terms of, you make the bookings, but the bookings are 6 or 8 months out. So commissions, don't happen until that point, or payment. I would, love people to ask more about what happens if I decide I want to niche or switch my niche or scale up.
Yep.
What does that
Yeah.
look like? My one of my most important ones, having come from, so I've worked for a large tour operator. I've worked in the travel technology space. And something that's always important to me that I ask, that I think everyone should, is how do you communicate changes, challenges, expectations to your membership, to your advisors, right? when changes happen within your preferred supplier network, within the host team, how do you communicate that with all of
Mhm.
us, right? What
Mhm.
does that look like?
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly important, that open communication internally. Um, can I talk to some advisors who joined at my same stage?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? Not every host is gonna have that, but, I think it's always a question to ask, to speak to a couple of their advisors within their community.
Absolutely.
Um, and remember that both you as the advisor and the host want to be strong fits for each other. So a host, a really good host is going to give you information, tell you about themselves, right? Answer these questions so that you can both determine whether you're a good fit for one another, right? It never
Yeah.
works out if the host is sitting there like, "Oh, we just want a new member." That's not how the hosts work either. They want members that fit within that would be a great fit for them as well, right? So it goes both ways, and I think for all of you advisors, is just to remember that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love all of those. Um, I wish I could provide my answer to all of those.
I would
It's
love that. Come
not
on,
about
we
us
could be here
today.
for
It's not
hours.
about us.
Then we were staying here for hours, no? It's all snowy outside. I've got nowhere to
Oh,
go.
wow. Well, we're supposed to get snow later today. I mean, later this weekend. So I'm
Oh,
kind of crossing my fingers. I love snow.
yeah, we just had
Um,
a 24-hour storm, so
okay. It's probably coming our way after you.
probably.
Um, I'm sorry. What excites you most about where the advisor profession is headed over the next few years?
I love this one. I am really finding more and more that advisors, we talked earlier about, that hosts are not employers. So I'm really finding advisors are figuring that out more and more, but that
Yeah.
advisors are operating more like true business owners.
Yeah.
Understanding and not only that, I find a lot of the hosts, like your book, this podcast, so many different things are there to support the advisors growing their business, right? So understand
Right.
really being true business owners and not just selling travel. So that's been really exciting to see kind of
Yeah.
questions evolving in that regard. Um, I am finding stuff I love, stronger niches, right? So getting really niche and understanding that there is a market out there for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite, higher service fees or just service fees in general, that you are understanding your value and what you're providing. I've worked with my travel advisor for many, many years. And, she has a service fee. I don't even question it because
Mhm.
I know the service that she's providing me, it doesn't even phase me, right?
Yeah.
She does have an explainer on why she uses service fees. I mean, I don't need that. I understand why. But, understanding that you are worth it and also setting better boundaries. And part of that is with the service fees or understanding that a client comes to you and they are definitely not the right fit for you. So it's not about just working with every single client out there, but setting boundaries within your business as well. Coming from travel tech as well, technology supporting advisors instead of overwhelming them, right? A lot of the hosts are working, yourselves included, are working so closely
Yes.
with these travel technology providers, right, to help build a tech stack or even better yet, a tech ecosystem that supports your advisors being more effective, more efficient, so that they get to spend time doing things that they love, and then the technology is doing all the necessary kind of administration work on the
That
back
is such a
end.
good one because the tech has been so archaic and behind the times for so many years in the travel industry. It is so refreshing to see technology companies taking an interest in our industry and creating things for us, like you said, to make our lives easier, to make us more efficient, give us the opportunity to scale for growth.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing out there that's built specifically for this industry, right? But also how much collaboration I'm seeing, not only
Mhm.
between the tech companies themselves, because a lot of them are collaborating with one another, but the way
Right.
that you all are collaborating, the host
Yeah.
is collaborating
Yeah.
with these tech companies and how, technology is really at the forefront. So it's really exciting to see a lot of advisors taking this on. That's our other event in the next 6 months that we have, our Hardwired, because we're cute like that instead of calling it
Yeah. I love it.
we had to. Um, and what I continue to see more and more of, which this industry has always had, but I continue to see more collaboration between advisors, hosts. Even just this morning, I got an invite to Path, which incredible event where you see the hosts and the suppliers come together
Yes.
for a day. And, it was wonderful last year as well. And everyone is sharing what's working, what's not working. But
Mhm.
better yet, especially from the host side, they're sharing this is what wasn't working. This is what we did
Yeah.
to change and fix that. So everyone, competitors, if you will, everyone's working together to help with, to lean into the wins and then support the challenges. So I love that side of it, and I see that continuing to expand
Yeah.
that, me,
Yeah.
community. Yeah, I love all that.
That is one thing that is so refreshing about the travel industry, is that it used to be very, very competitive, but I feel like that competitive nature is dissipating. I know we've completely gotten rid of it within our host. But I know, like what you're saying at PATH, which stands for the Professional Association of Travel Hosts. We've been a member of PATH for years. Jen, my CEO, has been on the board of PATH for many years. And like you said, it's amazing what they do at those meetings. You have the actual leaders of very large host agencies who are controlling an enormous percentage of the market,
Mhm.
um, all sharing best practices, sharing issues that are coming up. Is this coming up for you too? This is something we had. And if it's coming up for you too, how can we solve for this? How can we come together and bring our collective buying power to make a change for the better for the advisor network? I
Yeah.
agree with you there. And something that I kind of want to answer this question too, because I love this question so much, which is what are you most excited about, like for the future in the industry? And for me, um, I have the perspective of seeing our sales and how it's grown over time. We're now 12 years in the 13. Yeah, somewhere between 12 and 13 years in the business. And we, were on a really good growth trajectory just before the pandemic.
Mhm.
And then the pandemic hit, and there was a lot of doom and gloom, understandably, because it was a very, very uncomfortable time for the travel advisor. Not only did their revenue completely cease, they were unraveling itineraries that they had meticulously put together, spent months putting together, and they were having to unravel it and not get paid for it. And advocate for their clients, and get future cruise credits or refunds if possible. That didn't happen as often, but the future cruise credits. And so during the pandemic, were in front of our network on a very regular basis, trying to be as positive as possible. And one of the things that we kept saying is the comeback is always better than the setback. And this is the most severe setback the travel industry has ever seen. And so it's going to be the greatest comeback the travel industry has ever seen. And it actually has been. I mean, our sales growth, and it's not we haven't grown it by increasing the number of advisors. In fact, the number of advisors in the past 5 years has stayed quite static at GTN. But we have we had triple digit sales growth in 21, in 22, in 23,
Mhm.
um, in 24. No, 24 we had double digit, in 25 we had double digit, and we're still expecting double digit sales growth. And so for me, this is a very long-winded way to say that when, before the pandemic, we would have an advisor selling $600,000, $750,000 a year in travel. That was really, really, really good.
Mhm.
And now we're seeing advisors sell 2, 3, $4 million a year, and and many, many, many doing it. So, for me, that's what's exciting is I feel like it's the pandemic almost created this shift in consumers
Mhm.
um, putting travel, making it a priority, and a demand for luxury travel too that is only expected to continue to grow. So I just think the opportunity is getting better and better and better to have a profession that you can live off of.
Yeah, and so during that time, I was on the supplier side of things, and I always kind of go, my Canadian ways, I always go glass half full if I can, and one of the things we always talk about the tour operator I was at was and I my team's job was we worked with all the hosts, the consortium, within our operator, and it was that we could stop for a second.
Mhm.
More than a second, unfortunately, but we could stop and reassess.
Yep.
So, changes, the upgrades, the things that
Yep.
weren't in the day-to-day of it all, and so
Yep.
what happened with the product evolution as well, right? All these things you always wanted to do,
Mhm.
day-to-day business does take
Yeah.
over, and we got to stop, and we got to say, "Okay,
Yeah.
we've got this time now, let's do
Yeah.
this."
Yeah.
Right? And so that was really exciting to be able to, if I'm gonna look at this glass half full,
Yeah.
so many and it was great too because from the supplier side, so many of us also worked together, talked together just about even cancellation policies, right?
Right.
To align with one another, right? To
Yeah.
support each other's businesses. So, and that was a really beautiful thing to see happen. Even I remember going to Cruise World and seeing all the major cruise lines on stage and talk about how they came together as a cruise community,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And my jaw was to the floor
Yeah.
because, you're all like, I call it like the mammoths in this industry,
Yeah.
how they all talked about we all came together to figure this out together.
Yeah.
Right, and it's just such a beautiful thing with I think that also, again, glass half full through what we went through, also brought a lot of suppliers together, which for all of you advisors, I think is incredibly important, how
Mhm. Yeah.
suppliers work together to help support each other, but also build on that product to be something even better for your clients, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and we did the same thing in our network is we were helping our advisors have the same exact outlook on it, like glass half full. And one of the perspective shifts I brought to the network was like, you know, in life we have seasons. Well, in business we have seasons too.
Mhm.
And think about a farmer, farmer will have winter. And what does the farmer do in the winter? It fixes the equipment. It um sometimes just rests, but but you're right. Like it was absolutely a good opportunity to, like, take pause and look at your workflow processes. You never have time to, like, be really deliberate and tweak things that aren't working, and now you're being given this gift of time to, focus on things that you've never had time to focus on. So, yeah, it was definitely a successful way to look at it. It's
You know
paid
what?
off for a lot of our
Sometimes
advisors.
yeah, sometimes you have to because it was a tough time, and,
Yeah.
I for me personally, though, I had to find some wins in all of it, so that I wasn't just that was kind of how where my headspace went, so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. This industry helps you do that, which is lovely, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, coming up, we have Host Week, which is really, really exciting. I'm sure you guys are very, very busy at heart. So,
It's
tell us what is Host Week and why is it important to create a dedicated event like this?
Yes, we are very excited. It is coming up very, very soon. So Host Week was created as a free advisor first event. So it is very much so focused on advisors, whether, you're new, experienced, in transition, kind of all of those things. And we're really focused on clarity around the travel industry, how it affects, how it supports the advisor. So it gives the advisor access to multiple hosts and multiple different models in one place on equal footing. So advisors can learn, compare, and ask smarter questions. So we have 7 different consortium interviews, 38 host or franchise interviews where we ask everyone, we ask the consortiums a set of 5 questions, and we have a different set of 5 questions for the hosts. We ask them the same ones, right? So that everyone answers the same question. So you really get a feel for, oh, you know
Love
what?
that.
That host, not quite what I'm looking for. But then you get kind of those 3 or 4 that really get you excited. And you're like, okay, those are the hosts that I'm now going to go into their
Yeah.
directories on host agency reviews and go ask them questions and get in touch with them because now I'm really excited. That's what I was looking at. Um, we also have that's the bulk of the middle of the day. And then we have opening coffee spots each day, which are like a nice 45-minute session, a little learning session before we call it a coffee spot. Grab your coffee before the day really starts. Um, and then we have keynote speakers on some fantastic topics like accessible travel, on the e-visa world and how that's been evolving, and then 15 educational sessions from anywhere from advisors to hosts to industry professionals to the consortiums themselves. They're 20-minute little bite-sized sessions. We have 3 of them each day. So there's a mix of everything, and it is meant to educate and to inform you. And then you can make decisions from there. And then we have a wide open chat throughout the entire day to have fun. I know a lot of the times the GTN team comes and joins in the chat as well, so that's always a good time. But you'll have the hosts themselves. You'll have others that will just join in. Our team is always in there, so it's fun to also, again, the community, right? You're chatting with everyone throughout the 5 days. So for us, it really reflects our mission of education, then decision making. So we're here to educate you. Again, we're here to give you the information to help you make informed decisions. And we want advisors to really feel empowered, right? I think Host Week is really about feeling empowered. It's not about being sold to, it's feeling empowered to get all the information and
Right.
then making a decision that's best for them. Yeah.
Awesome. So, for someone listening, and this is before Host Week actually occurs, what are the dates and how do I join if I want to attend?
So we run every year. So this will be our 6th annual Host Week is January 26th to the 30th. You go on to hostagencyreviews.com/host week, or you can go on our website and look under events, and it's right there. Registration, like I said, is completely free of charge. Um, and then you can join us. You can jump in and out throughout the day. We'll be live through our YouTube channel. So you jump in and out throughout the day. You're also entered to win. We've got 7 different prizes from like Royal Caribbean to Colette to Intrepid Travel. So there's some fun prizes that you can win as well. You do have to be registered to win those. Um, but you can jump in and out, and then you can watch things back. And we actually, if you're registered, afterwards, we send you a whole schedule of what time this interview occurred and all of that. So you can jump to the things you want to rewatch again. But the hosts and our partners are the reason why we can make this free of charge to all of you to attend, which is
Right.
really exciting for us because, again, we want you to have all the information. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we are getting close to the
So
time. It went by very, very fast.
this was so much fun.
But since you've been in the travel industry and you love the travel industry as much as I do and many of us do, my favorite closing question is to ask about, you know, an experience or a moment that you had where you were just like, oh my God, pinch me. I can't believe I get to do this for a living. Do you want to share yours?
Sure. So, very quickly, my background is the accounting and taxation world. Most people very shocking. Success was measured in like billable hours, deadlines, getting things done, not by any form of human connection. And you never really got to see the impact of your work on someone's life. And so the travel industry was for me where I really realized people bring their whole selves to work. So their passion, their values, and their care for others. So when I started in this industry about 15 years ago, my pinch me moment wasn't just the travel itself. Granted, I'm not gonna lie, Antarctica was definitely a pinch me moment when I got down there a few years ago. But it was when I got to and I started as a tour leader, so I guided
Oh,
multi-day
wow.
trips, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
It was being in rooms when I got into, like, my first room with, other travel leaders, with the operations teams and everything, because I was working directly for the DMC, so destination management company at the time,
Mhm.
and they genuinely get excited and root for your success. And I had never experienced that before, and I know I have a lot of friends, their careers, they don't experience that.
Yeah.
That was my moment of, "This is where I should be. This is
Yeah.
industry." It was just the generosity of this industry was so special to me, and that has not changed in my 15 years. And
Yeah.
that's why this industry is while I love working in different areas of this industry, I would never leave the travel industry, and that was my pinch me moment was, "Oh my god, they actually want me to succeed, and they're gonna help me do it, and they're gonna impart all their knowledge on me because they wanna see other people succeed, not just themselves." It's
Yeah.
selfless and so beautiful. So, yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that answer, and it's a less common type of answer. People like to talk about a travel experience, which is nothing wrong with that. I
I mean,
probably would
Antarctica was
answer
great.
it.
I was pinching myself when we first landing, but yes, no.
Yeah, but I
That's
do love that, and I think it for me, I like it because it reminds me of what I appreciate about the travel industry too, and sometimes you just need to remind yourself of that. I think about, the travel industry, I think in many ways is very similar to the real estate industry
Mhm,
in many ways, but not every way, and I think one of the ways that it's not similar and is almost like opposite end of the spectrum different is this competitive nature, especially when it comes to luxury. So, like, if you are a luxury real estate agent and live in a very high, affluent town, it's cutthroat with other agents trying to get that listing for, one of 10 houses that's going to go up for sale that year in that town.
mhm.
Whereas, go to Virtuoso Travel Week, which is luxury travel advisors, explosion.
I've been.
And everybody is just, friends with everybody, and, it's just amazing. It's really, really incredible. So,
Yeah.
yes, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Well, this has been really, really awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really love what HAR does. I think the work that you guys do is so, so important. We are a sponsor of HAR. We have been for as long as I can remember.
Uh, Gifted
And
has been such a beautiful partner to
yeah,
HAR. We
yeah.
absolutely love you all, and the support that not only you give to HAR, but to, you know, uh, our entire database of advisors and just the education that you help
Mhm.
support give them is just beautiful. Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening today. We'll see you on the next episode and have a good one.